This right here is my friend Joe. He started selling on Amazon in January of 2022, and by September, he was already selling $100,000 a month. And I've had the privilege of talking to thousands of Amazon sellers who found success similar to Joe. And so in this video, I'm gonna break down the common factors that I see to find success early on. So if you're a brand new Amazon seller or you sell less than $5,000 to $10,000 a month, this video is gonna be very, very useful. But if you're brand new to the channel, my name's Warner Fields from Fields of Profit. I'm a full-time 7-figure Amazon seller, and we're gonna be breaking down the specific steps that successful beginner sellers make. But before we jump into that, if you want even more free resources to learn how to sell on Amazon, just give me a link directly beneath me for my completely free Amazon seller Discord community. There's over 40,000 people in there sharing a ton of free information. Would love to see you in there, but let's go ahead and jump into the video. So the first pattern that I see among Amazon sellers who succeed very, very quickly is typically they will find one strategy, maybe 2 or 3 strategies, and absolutely abuse it. I know that getting started selling on Amazon can feel very overwhelming and very complicated. And so the natural tendency of a lot of new sellers is to try to learn as much as humanly possible across a ton of different product categories and a ton of different websites you could source from. In my opinion, as a true beginner, and especially as you start to kind of figure things out, I would highly recommend that you start experimenting with several different websites and different strategies. But within the first month or two of your business, you should find one of those strategies that you really like and you can get really, really good at. So for example, let's say you start looking for items on websites like Walgreens, and then you're able to find profitable items. From there, a lot of beginners would have the tendency to just start checking different websites, trying to find opportunities where they might be able to find profitable flips. But in my opinion, if you're finding decent success on a couple websites, especially early on, I would highly recommend just to get really, really good at that website. And that's going to build a really solid foundation to build the rest of your business on, because you're always going to have those certain leads, that certain website that you're really, really good at sourcing, and that's going to kind of act as the baseline of your business so that you can continue to experiment with new websites and new strategies and continue to bump that baseline up. But it's important to have a starting point for that baseline. And if you're not sure what that starting strategy should be, we'll talk about that here in just a second. That kind of brings us into the second thing that I see successful beginner Amazon sellers do, and that's that they're willing to invest in themselves. And I know this is very traditional advice, but what I mean by that is they're willing to have that mindset shift for their business. So in my personal life, I'm pretty frugal. I don't live super lavishly, but in my Amazon business, I know that I need to spend on the software, the employees, and all that kind of stuff to help me make my time more valuable. And to show you why that's so important, we're going to go ahead and dive into my computer here, and I'll show you exactly what to look for as you're sourcing products and show you the difference between a seller who's not willing to invest in themselves and a seller who is willing to invest in themselves. So let's say you're a brand new seller, you're not sure how to source online arbitrage products. One of my favorite ways to start identifying opportunities is going to a listing like this great value brand listing. You could also go to Nike, Lego, Adidas, just any brand that doesn't have a ton of Amazon all over it and the brand itself is not selling it. Because for example, when we look at a listing like this, great value, we know is a Walmart's private label brand. So everyone who's on this listing is going to be buying this item from Walmart. And so what that tells me is if I start clicking on these other sellers on this listing, for example, Spectrum Trading Co., this guy right here is buying this item from Walmart. So it's reasonable that if we click his storefront here, we're going to be able to find other items that he also bought from Walmart. And so we can go through here and start looking at the different opportunities where we might be able to find a profitable flip. But this is also demonstrating the importance of our last point that we talked about. So we could go ahead and click through there and look at that guy, look at his storefront, all that good stuff. Or we could go ahead and invest in ourselves, trust our gut, and know that our business needs a little bit of input, needs a little bit of tools like SellerAmp here. So for example, instead of trying to click through there and trying to find his products there, we could look over here on SellerAmp, find that guy's storefront name, and then we can start looking through his products using SellerAmp. And you can see the night and day comparison here. So if we're comparing, here's a different storefront here. We don't really have any other information outside of what this particular seller is charging. If we mouse over it with Keepa, we could see the Keepa chart. Comparing that to SellerAmp right here, this software is less than $20 a month. We can see the max cost. So this is the price we would need to pay for this item. We can see who else is on it. So right away, we can see Amazon's on this listing. So we're not interested in competing with Amazon. So we know that we can skip and start scrolling past a lot of these different options here. And so this is just a very simple example of why it's going to be so important to be willing to invest in yourself. If you're not willing to lose a little bit of money on some bad buys right at the start, not willing to spend a little bit of money on software like SellerAmp, it's probably not going to be the best in the long run. Because right from the jump, if you're not willing to accept the fact that you're probably going to make some bad buys on inventory, lose a little bit of money, you're also going to have to spend a little bit of money on software and all that kind of stuff before you do start seeing any of the money that you're making from Amazon. So it's really, really important to have that mindset shift and be willing to invest in yourself. Because as you can see here, as we're scrolling down, we can start to see, hey, Amazon's on this, Amazon's not on this. So this might be something that would be worth checking out. For example, we could just hit the Google button here, and then SellerAmp again is going to save us time just by simply Googling that item for us. We could start to see if it's in stock anywhere. Looks like Walmart might be out of stock. Looks like Lego's out of stock. So we can save ourselves time and be very, very quick while we're looking for these items, specifically looking for items that we can buy for the max cost here. And so another thing that I think holds back a lot of brand new Amazon sellers is the fact that when you're first starting, everything is very, very chaotic, right? So your goal at the beginning should be to reduce the chaos in your business. This is something I was having a conversation with one of my students inside of Lightspeed. And this particular student is finding really good success as he's growing, but he's starting to get a little bit overwhelmed in terms of all the different avenues you could go down, not only sourcing product, but also, hey, today I need to reprice inventory and also do some restocking. And hey, I also need a virtual assistant and a prep center and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff you have to balance as you're growing your Amazon business. So if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed with where you're at in your Amazon business, I would highly recommend to kind of write down your different tasks, try to reduce as much chaos in your business as possible. So for example, your repricing, whenever you go to restock inventory, all that kind of stuff is pretty easy to schedule. So maybe you say, hey, on Mondays and Wednesdays, I reprice my inventory. On Tuesdays, I restock my inventory. And so you have very set days, so you don't feel quite as chaotic, on that Friday where you're trying to spend some money, you're trying to source. You don't have that back of mind saying, hey, I should be repricing right now. Hey, I should be restocking right now. Your goal at the beginning should be to reduce the chaos as much as possible. So going back to the beginning where we're worrying about focusing on a couple different strategies, get really, really good at those strategies. Very similar to that. Make sure your time doesn't feel chaotic, right? Make sure your back of mind, you're not, hey, I should be doing something else. When you're focusing on your business, you're focusing on your business, right? So that's less of an Amazon specific tip, but it's definitely going to help you as you start to grow your business, is just reducing as much chaos as you humanly can. So the next extremely common pattern that I see among sellers who succeed very, very quickly is they go out and they make friends. And if you're a fan of the channel, I probably sound like a broken record on this one, but a ton of the Amazon sellers who find early success have gone out, they've made networking connections in the space, they've made friends who are Amazon sellers, and that's going to be extremely powerful for your business because as you grow, there's going to be someone else saying, hey, I know you like to sell this particular item. They're on sale at XYZ website. And you can say, hey man, I know you got an IP complaint. Here's how I got through my IP complaint. So it's going to be a lot of, give and take, being able to add value to each other's businesses. And even down to a more personal level, selling on Amazon can get a little bit lonely. So making friends and connections in the space is really, really important to make sure that you're not only having consistent information for your Amazon business, but you're also not getting stuck in just your own way of thinking. If you're not sure where to start looking for those Amazon seller friends, you can check out our Amazon seller Discord I mentioned at the beginning of the video. We also have private communities like the FBA roadmap to help you scale your business a little bit more quickly. And you could also just start interacting with some different pages on social media, just try to get your name out there. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got a ton of value out of it. Hopefully you'll go out and use these tips to grow your Amazon business very, very quickly. Would love to see you be one of the early success stories out there. If you are finding a little bit of success in your existing Amazon business, you want to use me as your sounding board, I would love to personally coach your Amazon business. You can apply for Lightspeed FBA down below. If you guys have any questions, comments, anything like that, I'm always happy to answer those down below in the comments as well. But I really appreciate you guys watching and I will see you next time.